faster. So, but like you said, overall, I think Maverick's been playing well. First matchup that we're going to be seeing is that Zoo Warlock versus the OTK Demon Hunter. This one can sometimes be difficult for the OTK Demon Hunter just because you have to find a good balance of, you know, trying to draw through your deck while trying to keep the board in check. There are scenarios where you sometimes do have to give up on the Il'gynoth plan. You have to give up on the ability to actually go for that kill and just try and control the state of the board and hope you can win through tempo with the Moarks later on in the game. But I love the left side of Maverick's hand, and I hate the right side.
It's pretty straightforward, isn't it? It's a real those with and those without in terms of this hand. Because, I mean, as I'm sure you were leading up to, this is a turn 5 skull that he can go for by banking the mana discount that the Illidari studies affords him. But then if he gets another skull later on in the game, it's very possibly just not going to be outcastable for the entire game, because Il'gynoth is the one card in the deck that you cannot just tempo out and expect to win. Apart from against Weapon Rogue, sometimes.
Sometimes, but then you give up your ability to lifesteal. So a lot of times it's not great unless you're piecing together a lot of damage. But the one difficult part about using this Illidari studies this early is that now Maverick won't be able to go for that turn 5 skull if he's forced to play, say, the I-Beam before that turn 5 happens. So it's whether or not Maverick can get to that point where he's safe enough to be able to play skull without having to do anything else. If this turn isn't too bad, he could just go for, say, a weapon or a hero power and then try and roll into Raging Fell Screamer and then skull. Oh, right. Okay. I think it's Immolation or hero power and then Raging Fell Screamer and then skull on 5.
Yeah, you can't play the I-Beam, can you? Because it then chews up the mana discount that Illidari Studies affords you. So it's fine, you leave this on the board. I mean, the main thing I was looking at actually was what Sidi does there, because he had a couple of ways to go about that to try and manipulate it so Wicked Whispers discarded the coin, and then he maybe would have been able to guarantee Soulfire discard Hand of Gul'dan. It would have meant a much lower tempo turn immediately, so I can fully understand why he went for it this way. But it's the kind of hand that's awkward right now, but it can get good depending on what happens. Like that draw of Wicked Whispers, he can now 100% discard Hand of Gul'dan no matter what happens.
Yeah, and this is the correct ordering Soulfiring first, because if you get rid of Wicked Whispers, you can just Wicked Whispers this board.
Yeah.
And then it makes the board powerful, and you're guaranteed the discard on Hand of Gul'dan. So, upside of Soulfire. There you go.
Right there.
Take the board and discard the hand.
Yeah, I mean, we'll ignore the fact that he could have just played a Cult Neophyte and then discarded the Hand of Gul'dan with Wicked Whispers, and it would have been much better. Because, yeah, in that instance, it was great to just Soulfire.
Get out of here with your logic.
Apologies. I know I have no place for it.
I honestly want to Wicked Whispers here.
Tour Guide first? Oh, okay.
I'm going in.
Okay.
Your opponent kept a card, and it's been sitting in the far left. He's been holding on to Illidari Studies, wants to play Skull next turn.
That's true.
This is 9-12 damage. It's a Wriggling Horror or Soulfire away, or even a Manari Mosher away from winning the game if Maverick doesn't pick up some way to deal with this board this turn.
That's not it. That's not it. And that also is not it. He's going to have to tank the full brunt of this damage. And as you said, there are just draws for lethal right here.
But that's enticing.
He goes for it.
Wriggling Horror! That's it!
Is that enough? Exactly.
That's 11.
Oh my god. That is disgusting.
Wow.
I mean, while he was obviously very lucky to get that Wriggling Horror off the top, well played there by Sidi. Like, the way he sequenced that to go for, as you said, you know, usually against this Demon Hunter, you want to play your max pressure turns into turn 6, but he very correctly realized that with the Illidari Studies, the fact that no Outcast cards had been played, it probably is a skull sitting on the left-hand side, and he needs to put the max pressure now, and was rewarded with a win. It was just a solid zoo game.
Yeah, even at the end there, you know, there's with a hand being played, there's not too many reasons to try and go for or to play the Nightshade Matron or hold on to Nightshade Matron. So just being able to dump a one-cost minion, play the Nightshade Matron, have an empty hand, and force Maverick to deal with it. Recognizing that even though there was, what, 3 draws in the deck that get him lethal right there, with the Skull being played, if you just put him down to 2, it's very likely that just with a Moarg, Maverick will be able to clean up much of the board and lifesteal that back up because of how many cards he had in his hand. And we could see that he would have been able to do that because he had Philosophy, he could have Moarg, and that's only 2 mana right there with an I-Beam in hand. He picks up a Fellscream Blast, he's cooking. So good recognition even at the end to not play the strongest play on board, but instead try and fish for that lethal because he realized that he needed to end the game sooner rather than later. So nicely done. And I guess the bright side for Maverick is that Zoo Warlock has some pretty good matchups across the board in his lineup.
Sure.
He's got the Highlander Priest, and it feels like Zoo Warlock has been doing well against Highlander Priest because it's oftentimes in lineups that's leaving Priest up and it's still boasting a high win rate. It's the highest brought Warlock deck by far, with the Control Warlock, Quest Warlock, Galakrond Warlock kind of coming in a very far second. So, you know, maybe you could say, well, I was going to lose to it anyway. But now he's got to go up against Stealth Rogue, which is, I feel like, one of the scariest decks because they can do an absurd amount of damage from hand, even quite early on in the game.
Yeah, they can. I think that the Priest definitely does struggle in this matchup overall against the Aggro Rogue. I think that OTK Demon Hunter and, weirdly enough, World Kick Rogue are actually, or the Secret Rogue as he has here, are both actually pretty reasonable matchups against the Aggro Rogue, because you just lock down board so aggressively as the Secret Rogue or the World Kick Rogue. And, I mean, this OTK Demon Hunter, you have an illegal amount of healing in the deck if you want to use it all. Obviously, you're then chewing through your win condition, but a lot of the time, you don't really need it. You just have to make sure that you're healing up enough out of their burst, and eventually you'll just kind of get there.
Yeah, Maverick does have a copy of Acidic Swamp Ooze in the deck as well, which will help. Though you do have to be wary of what a Giant Sharpening Sword means for your game plan if you're unable to find that ooze. But Maverick, I feel like this is a decent opening hand for what he's trying to do. He's got a couple cards that are easy to dump on the left side to activate that skull, or to, I guess, outcast that skull.
Right.
And then some lifesteal cards you're okay with dumping their Aug Merchant and Fellscream Blast in this matchup many times.
Yeah, it's a very good hand for both players, actually. Like, Sidi's is a little low on value, obviously, and losing the Spy Mistress here without even getting to attack definitely stings, considering you wanted to connect the Nitro boost this turn. But it's reasonable still.
Yeah.
It's getting a little thin, though, with another Sinister Strike off the top.
It looks like a skull setup for next turn with the coin here for Maverick. So just going to get rid of this Aug Merchant. I mean, feels good right now. It's got... there's a potential that if Maverick picks up a couple of discounted combo pieces that he might even be able to just kill relatively early with Fellscream Blast, I-Beam, and Morok and Ethereal Aug Merchant in hand. We're like an Il'gynoth away from Maverick just ending the game before Sidi could even possibly have the damage.
I think it is actually literally just Il'gynoth that he needs at this point to pretty much just win the game. Like, maybe another Philosophy would help, but yeah. It's very possible that he can just get there, especially as Sidi's hand being completely absent of draw means he's got to make do with what he's got at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if this picks up Il'gynoth and Sidi plays a minion, right, that he can I-Beam to use the second I-Beam.
Oh my god.
All right, Il'gynoth away. Let's see it.
This is a quadrillion damage.
A cruel fate
Oh, but he gets
with Il'gynoth.
Sage. This is starting to come together for Sidi.
And cutting class.
Oh, this is going to be a close one. Like, it's at all points from here on in, a draw away from the win for Maverick. Yeah, you can't play the prize plunderer, unfortunately.
No. And don't really want to attack with this. Spy Mistress, I guess you have to. It's 5 damage. You got to cash on the damage now. With Skull Blade, it's going to die almost for certain next turn.
Like, the kind of weird play you could have gone for there, I guess, was prep prize plunderer on your own Greyheart and then go for Nitro Boost just so that it's corrupted, because it would go down to cost 0 and then you can get maximum damage immediately. But I think that's probably just not worth it. Oh my lord, he's got every combo piece in the deck except for Il'gynoth.
Fire everything and everyone!
Yeah, okay.
So second Ethereal Aug Merchant and then just a Fellscreen Blast. Is that the play? I was thinking just
Double
you
I
don't want to tank the damage. Yeah, double I beam. But
Oh, you don't have mana, sorry, for double I beam.
yeah.
You're paying for my discretion.
Sure. This felt a little shaky.
Yeah. Though there's 17 cards left in his deck, and if he just keeps holding on to resources, like, and Il'gynoth is even in like the bottom 8,
Yeah, that's
then he's going to be hurting.
I guess this is fine, because like the alternative is that you go, you save the Orc Merchant, and then you have to go an extra Fellscreen Blast to clear off the board properly there, which is also expensive. So no matter what you do, you're losing combo pieces. It's probably perfectly reasonable in the end. And now we're kind of reaching an awkward point that we reached when you and I were testing this matchup. I think it was anyway, where if you kill the Moargs, then you're losing a bunch of damage. But if you don't kill the Moargs, they potentially heal for 1 million, and they're right back up to the full health total.
Yeah. Also, if you don't kill these minions, you're gonna put a clock on yourself, right? Like,
Yeah, true.
Sidi just kind of has to play this out and hope for a stealth minion off top.
I mean, there's only so many cards that Maverick can draw that aren't card draw or Il'gynoth at this point. Like, so much of his deck is, Chaos Strike, Spectral Sight, Skull, Il'gynoth. There's so many good draws that he's just missing turn after turn.
And everyone!
But at the same time, Sidi also is missing all the card draws here. He isn't finding stealth, he isn't finding secret passage, he isn't finding swindle either. It's just air.
Needs secret passage or a stealth minion. Either one of those to get this ball rolling. And again, what do you... the Eviscerate by itself won't kill the Moarg, so he'd have to prep Abyss if he wanted to take out this Moarg. And then... Oh, geez. Prep Abyss, smack him for 8, re-dagger? Like...
That sounds awful.
Yeah. Well, Derek, it sounds awful because it is awful.
Ah, that'll be why.
All right, no swing. Okay,
All right.
Chaos Strike.
A draw, that's something. Oh! Fine. Okay, that's fine. You've just deleted 8 damage now.
Stealth minion. Deadly poison.
Oh! That one hurt. That one hurt physically.
15 cards left. He has 1, 2, 3, 4 stealth minions left remaining in the deck, right? Because he's played both of his... Has he played both Spy Misters? He has Worgen Infiltrator, Sneaky Delinquents, and also has the 2 Secret Passage.
Ooh. That's it. That's it. That is a wrap. Surely that just ends the game now. Like, he can just get there with hero powers at this point and weapon. He doesn't need the combo.
Yeah, he's at 10. What's the draw off the top? Okay, cutting class.
Okay, that's a stealth. It's possible. It's possible.
Give me that.
Sword. Okay. Okay. I mean, this board is gone, obviously, so that's not going to give any damage. It never gets there, does it?
Yeah, Il'gynoth is just lethal.
Yeah. Draw another spectral sight? Yep, okay.
I see.
How many cards are left that aren't Il'gynoth? Well, 2.
2. He's got a Blood Mage Talnos and a double jump, right? All right, all tied up.
A nice win there for Maverick. Not not an unexpected win. It's definitely, I think, overall a just about favorable matchup for the OTK Demon Hunter, but an important one nonetheless. If Sidi had gone there and had got the win there, and had been left with just his Druid, at 3 attempts with Token Druid, one of them you're going to hit the nuts.
Yeah. Yep, that seems to be about right. But it's the Token Druid and Weapon Aggro Rogue versus the Secret Rogue and Highlander Priest for Maverick. So, I mean, Highlander Priest and the Secret Rogue both can be pretty flimsy if they don't find ways to kind of deal with the first wave of pressure, right? Because even if they are able to stabilize, sometimes they've taken too much damage at that point to really get things done. But we'll see, because as is the case with aggro decks, and I guess you can even throw Token Druid in here. Sometimes you get draws that just you're not going to win any game of Hearthstone with those type of draws. The deck just kind of folds in on itself. So. I like that we have like 4 different archetypes remaining, and they have very different, styles of play. It makes things exciting instead of just watching aggro rogue mirror matchups where they're both smacking each other.
Or Libram Paladin mirrors where they're not smacking each other and just losing to their own draws. But yeah, I agree. I do definitely think that I would give the edge to Sidi right now, especially because of that Token Druid. I think that both the Secret Rogue and the Priest, most of the time, just can't get the wheels rolling quickly enough. You're more likely to see huge Gibbling board, huge Glowfly Swarm board, or Arbor Up, whatever it may be, before either of the Priest or the Rogue can get on board. So I see that as a very likely win for Sidi. And then, the Weapon Rogue, if he gets 2 more draws like that, then yeah, sure, maybe he is going to lose the series. But on average, it's going to be able to sneak a win in most of the time, I think.
We'll see. Maverick's going to queue up the Highlander Priest first and foremost. I mean, not really any techs in this deck. I guess Nazmani Bloodweaver is not 100% inclusion in Highlander Priest. But other than that, pretty straightforward. No Ooze, but does have Zephyrus, so maybe a little bit less redundancy for weapon destruction when you're talking about its matchup versus Aggro Rogue.
Yeah, that's definitely a hit. I think most people, even though weapon destruction has been surprisingly absent from this tournament, despite how much of a hot topic it is currently amongst the pro community as to whether or not you should be including Ooze in your deck. To which, even players like Crane, who have traditionally been the most staunch of anti-tech card players, are now saying Ooze in your ladder decks, it's probably correct with the amount of aggro weapon rogues that are knocking about, and yet still there's hardly any in the tournament here. I still think most players have gone with Ooze in their Highlander Priest, and I do personally like it because, again, it's what I say as Priest. If it hits the weapon, it's fantastic, but the deck just wants to play minions on curve, and Ooze does that pretty well, actually.
Yeah, it does. Sometimes all you need is just a 2-drop.
Yeah.
And hope you get there. But let's get into it. Weapon rogue again for Sidi and Maverick with the Highlander Priest, as we mentioned. Ooh.
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 Interesting.
Ooh.
We're about 2 interesting draws away from TJ turning into Scooby-Doo, it would sound.
We don't want to get there.
Not today.
I smell blood.
But yeah, a fantastic starting hand for Sidi. Make no mistake. If this can't be cleared off the board, which, I mean, there's very little on the Priest deck that can do that, you're looking at a very clear coin Greyheart Sage, weapon, even a prep into Secret Passage if he completely runs dead on card draw after that.
A cruel fate awaits you in the ashes.
Maverick at least has things to do. With Mind Flare Cars on this turn, the ability to trade an animated Broomstick the next turn.
Yeah.
Thoughtsteel might be able to find him some ways to fight for board, but holy moly, this damage is starting to ramp up.
This is looking like a win. This is why you run Ooze in your deck list, so that you can try and answer this. Like, obviously, Zephyrus being drawn could completely turn this matchup on its head. But as it currently stands, Sidi has enough damage to win the game single-handedly with just this weapon.
Well, Penance picked up. That's at least a way to stop this incoming damage from the Greyheart Sage, but to be real honest with you, that's not what I'm concerned about at this point. And then the question besides that is, do you heal to full or do you Thoughtsteel? It looks like Maverick's going to value the life total. Thoughtsteel, even though I said it could pick him up some playable things, it may not. It may just pick him up weapon buffs.
I think the only real consideration there for Maverick, as Sidi makes a very standard, easy turn here for the most part, I think the only consideration last turn was actually whether he played Illusia, because he would have given a very bad turn to his opponent, but, I mean, all is forgiven here. Nothing massive to do with that when he draws the most gorgeous Pyromancer I've seen in a long while off the top here. Disgusting.
And Swindle ain't bad.
Need this Nitro Boost, just turn it into a 5-1 right now.
Yeah. Not going to fall for that one again, Derek.
Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me a second time, once again, shame on me. But after the 7th time, no more.
Oh. All right, the Plunder is actually just the nuts here because it allows Sidi to play these minions and not have to sink 7 damage into a Wild Pyromancer.
And he's still got the Secret Passage. Even if this can be cleared up with a Holy Nova, Breath of the Infinite, whatever off the top, he still has more refill.
Oh.
Illusia, there's nothing that can win you that can clear you the board in the opponent's deck.
Maybe you uncomboed Swindle?
Okay, yeah, sure. That draws a spell, right? So you can get Nova or Breath of the Infinite if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Or Renew could draw you into it. Oh, or even Raise Dead to get the Pyro. There's quite a lot of spells here that can do it for you. Shadow Word Death. Ain't it?
Can I interest you in a Shadow Word Death? In fact, this deck doesn't even run that many spells. He already had Penance. It was like Raise Dead, which, okay, decent. Holy Smite, Draconic Studies, Renew. Half his spells because he had the Infinite. And Holy Nova as well.
And at this point, it's just game over, right? There is nothing that can save him now. Taking 8 damage from minions at this point in the game, you just don't win when that happens.
It's almost lethal on board. He needs 1 damage.
Oh yeah, it is just lethal with Sinister Strike. That's going to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Sidi takes a very, very swift Game 3 victory. And getting the Rogue over the finish line, for me at least, this was the bigger question mark actually when compared to the Token Druid, at least against the specific decks that Maverick had. And he has just answered that question with aplomb.
Yeah, and now Token Druid with 2 decent matchups remaining. It's got to be feeling pretty good if you're Sidi here.
Got to be feeling very good. Again, you know, this Druid deck, the main reason why people don't tend to like this Token Druid as much as Highlander Druid, I think was slightly more popular, is because it can definitely be a little bit feast or famine. You want to have more than one attempt to get a win with it because, you know, obviously if you get Gibbling and you can make 4 or 5 Gibblings on turn 1 or 2, you probably win the game. Glowfly on turn 3, you probably win the game. But if you don't draw all of those and you just get all the buff spells and nothing to play it on, then you just instantly lose the game. So it's a fickle deck. You cannot rely on it necessarily, but with 2 attempts, I like his odds.
As do I. So a lot of decks that have been making Highlander Priest look pretty silly thus far this tournament. Some unexpected, but I feel like the Token Druid, maybe not as much this one. Honestly, I've been enjoying the non-Gibbling version. Yeah, with Goru the Maitri and like Guess the Weight, because it feels like you more consistently hit Glowfly Swarm, even though you don't get those minions. The small upside of Fungal Fortune's not hitting minions, and then, well, I guess Goru the Maitri, but you have 1 instead of 2 Jibber Jabbers. But I mean, look, the key cards right there. That's what you're looking for.
That is what you're looking for.
Guess the Weight makes it more likely to hit those cards.
That's true. Yeah, that's very, very true. I mean, it's offset because Gibbling, to be honest, if you hit the Nature Studies plus Power of the Wild, Innovate, Lightning Bloom starting hands, it's basically an extra 2 copies of Glowfly Swarm in the deck. It's less strong, of course, but it's like in the old days where you ran 2 questings as well as an Edwin. They're not as good, but you put them in anyway. Now, obviously, it's flipped around and Edwin is kind of bad questing. But either way, I think it's still, while I can agree that I think I do prefer the other list a little bit more, a very, very potent deck here from Sidi, as he has 2 out of his 4 archetypes are literally just 15 copies of 2 cards in the deck, which is pretty nice to see.
Yeah. As is this deck from Maverick, except outside of the legendaries, the legendary minions, and again, still a tough matchup because you do lack a little bit of removal. And the minions that you're playing early on in the game aren't necessarily minions that can contest 2/2s, right? Obviously, Flick Skyshiv is a great minion to have once you get to that stage of the game to be able to deal with Glowfly Swarms. It comes down quite late, so Maverick pretty much just looking for backstabs, for prize plunders, for discovers that allow him to at least stave off the pressure until he can get some value rolling or a board rolling early on in this game. And also has to hope that, you know, Sidi doesn't even have an above average draw, because I feel like that's all Sidi will need to win this game and in this match is an above average draw.
Yeah, it's not going to require much from Sidi, but he's got to get it first. As I said, this Druid deck can be a bit of a nightmare if you don't find the cards in the right order. But jumping into what could be the final game of this series here, Sidi already got himself a Glowfly Swarm. He's not on the coin, though. Do you think you're still holding on to it there?
Not without support, I don't think. Like if you have a Fungal Fortunes, maybe. If you have Lightning Bloom, maybe. But it's a long time before you can play that, and you don't want to give the Rogue a chance to get back onto the board. Right now, Maverick, he's looking at actually a pretty good hand. I'm surprised no Prize Plunderer, though.
Why you have to throw it away?
Why you have to prize?
Yeah, I mean, he's just looking for a secret here because coin, prep, Shadow Jeweler plus secret is it's a good play.
Yeah, but he didn't hit secret.
He did not.
He hit the secret.
What a player. He doesn't
Play the
Wow.
secret.
I guess the Edwin is just more enticing here. Okay, fair enough. Good deviation away from what he was clearly anticipating on doing. And you know what? Getting an extra secret in hand does sound a little bit worse than an 8-8 on turn 3.
Yeah, Power of the Wild, just a cleaner way to clear this here.
Yeah.
What were you thinking? Lunar Eclipse?
I was thinking, yeah, Lunar and then 3-2 instead, so that you have a wider board for Sword of the Forest next turn. I guess he's probably thinking of going Rising Winds next turn anyway, so this is fine.
Yeah, next turn you can go Lunar Eclipse 2-2-2-2 or 3-2-3-2.
Whoa! Oh my goodness, that is disgusting.
Dirty Tricks, Foxy Fraud, Edwin.
Oh.
1, 2, 3, 4,
14,
5, 6.
Make a wager, friend. The Brotherhood shall prevail.
Well, sorry to break it to you, Sidi, but I don't think you're winning this one.
The year is 2033. Edwin Van Cleef now costs 9 mana. And somehow in the quarterfinals of Masters Tour Space, a player still manages to make it a 14-14 on turn 3.
Yeah.
So what's the play here?
Oh man, I mean, I'm trying to look for something. There's no silence effects that you can get on spells. Like, I'm thinking, okay, how do we get Keeper of the Grove in this instance to try and make it happen? Like, you can go, Nature Studies into Discover a Choose One spell, or Discover a Choose One card, and then Keeper of the Grove. He obviously missed it, and now you just die.
So you go wide here, and then hope that you have 2 more turns and can find Savage Roar to just blast on past this big old cleave.
Give me a quest.
And it looks like he's leading into trading here with this Edwin instead. What? Really? Are you afraid of, like, Solar plus Savage Roar to die? Like, you've just seen a Solar Eclipse there. It's kind of one of those plays where you don't even care if it's right or wrong. You've just traded a 14 attack Edwin. It has to be wrong on a moral level. But I guess with the Jandis in hand, like, he most of the time will actually just be able to win on board if he just keeps trading with Edwin, which is also obviously a very, very strong win condition against this token trade.
No. All right, let's see what he gets.
Yuck. Yuckity yuck yuck.
I mean, if you're going to trade last turn, you're going to trade this turn. Yep.
Oh. I mean, obviously,
Bro, he can kill the Edwin.
Sidi would not be on 2 here, obviously, because he would have been able to heal up for at least 8 by attacking twice with the lifesteal minions, and then potentially more, given the fact that there's Arbor Up, Savage Roar, Power of the Wild, many ways to buff the attack. But even then, this is 28 points of damage that did not swing face.
All right, Sidi trying to set up for an Arbor Up here, for a juicy Arbor Up here. I wouldn't. I honestly think that if you play that last turn, or this turn, right, and just trade over the Edwin, do you ever get there?
Very possibly.
I guess they're just dead on board, and then Maverick has a guaranteed full board. But Maverick does pick up the Blackjack Stunner, so can get rid of some of this value here. And he's been valuing boards so heavily that I do like the Netherworld portal as well, because now Sidi plays a spell. He gets, not only does he get the minion from Netherworld portal, but he also gets whatever that spell was off of the Plagiarize, and then can follow that up with Evil Miscreant. So honestly, kudos to Maverick, because that trade is actually a tough thing to do, I'd say.
Yeah, it is indeed. I mean, the Blackjack Stunner was a huge deal. The face hit with the Edwin, I think it is absolutely finally time. The pickup of the Lightning Bloom, though, is kind of interesting now, right? Because Sidi can go, like, Bloom, Arbor Up, Soul of the Forest. The Bog Beam, you know, ignoring any mage spells that could mess it up, does allow him to clear off the Edwin here as well. And then even with the overload factored in, he can still go Arbor Up again next turn.
We've got a high turnover rate.
Ooh! Ooh!
Time waits for no one.
Grand Lackey is not bad at all. Yeah.
Well, all things considered, not a bad turn, but now Sidi is out of stuff, and Maverick gets all of this as well.
That's pretty disgusting.
Yeah.
6 + 6, 12, 13 damage at least here.
Can he find lethal with Wand Thief, perhaps? 6 on board, Arbor Up, a Frostbolt.
Frostbolt is 1 mana lethal, I think.
Oh, really?
I think so, yeah.
Wait.
But Frost Nova, I think, just completely wraps up the game here.
Yeah. You're right, 1 man off. Yep, Frost Nova, hit everything face.
Yep.
And that looks like we're going to a game 5.
Just going to be a concede from Sidi here. I would have to imagine there is nothing in your deck, even factoring in nature studies, that can save you here. He throws it down, and we're going to another Game 5 here in the finals. And Sidi, if the nerves are getting to him at all, does absolutely the right thing. Gets up from his computer and just go walk around, even if it's just for a minute. Try and get your nerves back in check, because this could be the game of his career.
Yeah. Most of the time recommended, right? Most of the time recommended. Get up and walk away. Unless you have siblings that really want to see you lose.
I thought you were going to say unless you have siblings that want to use the computer, in which case they will just jump on and play Roblox while you're trying to get your victory.
And then you'll probably be DQ'd, because I don't think anybody's allowed to sit at your computer while you're playing. So yes, that would be bad. Or if your siblings are just going to make you more nervous. You get it from the computer and they say, "Did you win yet?" You say, "No, it's going to game 5." And then they go, "Oof."
I'd never go to game 5. I'd just win.
And then they go on your computer and get you DQ'd, yeah.
Yeah, indeed. Quite a drama it would be in this mythical version of Hearthstone that we've created for ourselves, TJ. But back in reality, where we rarely reside, it is game 5. And it's going to be the Druid once again up against the Priest. And, you know, you know, all these decks kind of function on a scale between tempo and control, and Priest is definitely more towards a tempo deck, I think, than it is than a control deck. But it definitely struggles to get those big boards more than Rogue does. Like, there is no Edwin in the deck. There's no questing in the deck. The biggest minion that you're going to get at the start is basically just what you can play on curve, which is going to be a lot less difficult, a lot less easy for him to dominate that early board presence in quite the same way.
Yeah. And it's going to be about whether or not he can find those early minions to start contesting, or find the Wild Pyromancer to go for that definitive swing on the board. It's kind of about keeping the board in check until you can get a swing turn available. So kind of the cards we're looking for: Wild Pyromancer, Zephyrus, even like Sethic Veilweaver, right? Just throw it on the board, eat up some 2/2s or 3/2s.
Yeah, it's what you need to be doing, because I think if you function as a control deck and look for, you know, purely the removal cards like Breath of the Infinite, Holy Nova, Hysteria, while they are good cards and they can buy you time, eventually in the mid game you do have to start locking down the board, which is why I like cards like Nazmani, Kaj, Draconic Studies, and Raised Dead. These are premium cards in my opinion.
All right, well, he just wants the Nazmani and finds Zephyrus. All right, now we're cooking.
Yeah. And for Sidi on the other side, again, he's missed Gibbling. He doesn't hit the ramp. He doesn't hit the card draw. This is really, really slow.
He hit the Gibbler!
Damn. But unfortunately, those are adamantium bars on that cage, and it's going to stay trapped for now.
How do you even know what adamantium is?
What? What does that even mean? Like, it's not real, but like it's synonymous
like,
with an extremely hard metal.
But it's like 3 letters past the max amount of letters for any word that you're supposed to know.
Where is this bit going, TJ? If anything, I use stupidly long words instead of much shorter, more understandable ones almost to a fault.
All right, fair enough. Do you think there's merit to coining anything out there? Well, now Maverick's like, I'm glad I didn't coin.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously merit, but I think when you have, I mean, specifically Soul Mirror in hand and the ability to make it cheaper with coin after the Nazmani comes down, I do like the hesitance here from Maverick.
Yeah.
There's some stuff you can do on this turn, though, right? Like, you're looking at Gibber, Lunar Eclipse, Solar Eclipse, and then Nature Studies.
Okay. Then if you want to play Glowfly Swarm next turn, I guess you're getting 2 spells back from Nature Studies, but your Glowfly Swarm's going to be pretty weak.
I mean, at this point, you have to just... you really don't go for Bees here? Like, Bees is good with Lunar Eclipse to try and get a board right now.
Time waits for no one.
Really? You don't even get to play any spells after this. I struggle to see how this is correct.
Well, does get a Glowfly Swarm next turn, so that's the...
Yes. Used up so many spells, though, as well.
Yeah, this is only going to be 4 Glowflies, which, sure, Soul of the Forest and Arbor Up both in hand. Yeah. Because of that, Sidi, I think wisely going to go for Force of Nature. This is probably like an AoE test, but honestly, I don't even know if Maverick cares.
You don't even have to go for the Holy Nova here. There's so many ways you can go about this. Like, Holy Nova is very good as a baseline play, obviously, but just trade Sethic Madame Lazul, like, you're still just miles ahead on board.
Yeah, in which case you'd Madame Lazul first, see if there's anything that could help deal with the board. Doesn't see that there's a Glowfly Swarm. But does see that there's a Soul of the Forest.
Gets an Innovate as well, which is pretty disgusting here. With all
Or
these cards in
can
hand.
go little Gibberling.
I'm taking the Vate all day long here.
Okay. Yeah.
Just one mana.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. Okay, that's a draw. He needs cards here to make this anyway playable, I think. No, not necessarily on this turn, because just Gibberling Arbor up or some way to buff and then value trade on this board seems a bit more important.
So you go I was thinking Gibberling Arbor up here, and then follow that up with Fungal Fortunes. But it looks like Sidi wants to go for like a definitive, powerful turn.
And he can get that. Innovate, Lunar Eclipse, Power of the Wild, and Adorable Infestation here is brutally powerful. I know it uses up all your spells for Glowfly Swarm, but you're losing this game. Glowfly Swarm is not going to get there as it currently stands.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on to the Innovate. This is a good middle.
Yeah. Still has a scary enough board that warrants AoE from Maverick, but holds on to enough spells to where if this is dealt with, then Glowfly Swarm can come down next turn. And again, basically Maverick's goal here is to try and get away with using as little resources as possible to answer this board. It's probably as simple as a Holy Nova in this situation, just so he has Soulmere and Zephyrus available. For any follow-up, because Holy Nova is probably the AoE that's going to clear the least amount of boards.
Right.
Because it's always limited to 2 damage, unless, you know, something outside of your deck is able to buff it up. Resizing Pouch
is not what he should pick here.
I love Resizing Pouch.
Okay, this is actually a very, very interesting juncture because Glowfly Swarm looks like the perfect time to go for it here at first sight. But I think because of the fear of Breath of the Infinite, Wild Pyromancer, Soul Mirror, whatever it may be, you're actually supposed to save it here so that you can go Glowfly, Innovate, and Soul of the Forest next turn. In which case, I actually kind of like just going for Arbor up and then potentially Adorable Infestation plus the 1/1 as well. And then if your board sticks, you don't have to play the Glowfly Swarm. You can just go Arbor up, Innovate, plus Soul of the Forest. And if it does get cleared, then you can go Glowfly Swarm. And maybe because of that you saved the Adorable Infestation for an extra Glowfly. But the point is here that I think saving the Glowfly Swarm here is important. He wants to take the risk though.
Yep. Holds on to the 1/1.
Interesting. Hedging around Soul Mirror.
Sure. So he's got Sethic, Cobalt Spellkin, Nazmani, and
Good cards.
Madame Azul.
Right. All good stuff to get back.
Yeah. So City's gotten through a lot of AoE so far.
Yeah.
Still more to come with the Zephyrus, though. And now Maverick's starting to get to that territory where he's got enough mana, a ton of mana to work with. All right, Arbor up.
I think this just gets there now. I think for Sidi, his play was definitely not wrong, because if Soul Mirror wasn't there, he could have just won the game on the spot, of course. But he went for that line, he tried to take the risk, and it did not work out. And now, even if you have to just go for Zephyrus plus Shadow Flame, whatever it is, this game is just on lock for the rest of the game, it feels like.
What about something else?
Someone else sounds good.
You go for Cabal Acolyte Inner Fire. Cabal Acolyte Crimson Hothead Inner Fire. You interfire the 3/2.
Your mind is not your
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's interesting. I like that. Yeah, I mean,
Way with using these harder to use resources.
sure.
Put some taunt in the way.
And I guess even if they have, like, I guess what would the nightmare be? Solar plus Arbor up? You still have an answer, right, with Zephyrus. It can never go that bad.
Yeah. This might be just as bad, though. Arbor up and Soul of the Forest. Because then he gets to take some VTs.
Yeah, he gets 1 VT, right?
Ooh, that's where you're wrong. Nah, he gets 1 VT.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I'm right.
Well, if you think about it, if a minion has Death Rattle, he's gaining more value, so it's still a value trade. Pushes up glasses.
Bagoo, I think you'll find. Actually,
For no one.
Still a lot of damage.
still a lot of damage, absolutely. Couple of ways that you might want to try and approach this. Like, I mean, you look at Mirazond and then you decide, no, it's too scary. Even with Innovate, Shadow Word, Death thrown in.
What if you Sethic and start with a Shadow or Death?
I must consider.
Yeah. I wonder if you trade in first and then go like Hysteria and then start the Sethic train, just so that you don't have a minion on board that it can smash into.
Okay, yeah. So you trade into the 2/2,
Yeah.
then Hysteria the 4/3.
Wow. He is going Mirazond.
Can he die to double roar?
He can die. Like, if Sidi's hand is, if he has Solar Eclipse, Savage Roar, Maverick could die if he just plays Mirazond, which is why, in the end, he's going with the slightly safer line. Yeah, we're looking for Holy Smite here, I suppose. Yeah, sure.
Whew.
Ooh, interesting.
I like the cut of your jib.
Ooh.
Oh.
Getting scary. Starting to get scary. If he can get second Soul of the Forest off of either of these Rising Winds draws and then innovate it out, it might be a comeback. It could be. It would be a very unlikely one. I've been counting him out for a while here, but it's possible. Oh, it was only the second half. It wasn't the twin spell version.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was his one window, I feel.
Yeah.
That was it.
He goes Solar Savage Roar now. It's 12 damage he gains up to 18. He can launch it all face. I still don't think it gets there though. Yeah. Pray there's no removal. This is definitely the chance for him to get there. And Maverick, having been unbelievably patient with this Zephyrus, he's had it in his hand since the start of the game. I think many players would have found an opportunity to use it here. He's been saving it avariciously, and he finds finally a fantastic opportunity for it.
Still going to see if he can get away with not using it.
Sure, yeah. Correctly so as well.
There we go. Now just a simple Holy Nova.
I mean, you could start with Renew and then still go Innovate Zephyrus for Holy Nova, because you have a couple of chances of getting, obviously, Holy Nova or Breath of the Infinite. Alright, now you just do it.
Yep. Sidi probably had a glimmer of hope as he saw Maverick digging so hard for something, but he had the Zephyrs all along, and I don't think there's a way that Sidi pulls himself out of this one.
This was a real heartbreaker. I thought it was, looking at the start, like maybe he could get there. I still disagree with his play where he didn't save the Glowfly Swarm to go with the Soul of the Forest on the same turn. But to be fair to him, Maverick just had every answer you could possibly look for, and a lot of tempo as well. It was a stunner of a starting hand.
Yeah, sometimes the Highlander Priests can just do that. We talked in the series about how the one thing about Sidi's decks is, you know, sometimes they just have those starts where you just struggle to win with, and passing that many turns as a token Druid is brutal. Didn't even have his first real play until quite late into the game, and wasn't able to accelerate that start. And now I just, even though he's still at 31 health, there's just no way for him to build up a board, I don't think.
Yeah, I guess he's just going to be thinking of what could I possibly pair with Solar Eclipse in the deck, and there's Soul of the Forest. I think he's used all his Arbor ups at this point. Maybe Glowfly Swarm if you go Solar Eclipse, Glowfly Swarm on the very next turn, but I think he knows just as well as we do that it is a very slim chance, if approaching non-existent.
Yeah, and for Maverick, I think you just play your biggest thing, which happens to be actually quite big. Is there a nature studies left for Sidi?
I think so. I lost track of it.
I think that's why he. I think maybe that's why he dumped the 1/1. So that way, if he picks nature studies, then he can play.
Overflow?
No, the thing that if you have no minions.
Oh, yeah, Dreamway Portal.
Yeah, he can play Dreamway Portal and then have one extra mana available because he doesn't have to dump the 1/1 to play whatever minion he would get from Dreamway Portal, right? Like thinking like that far into it, where so desperate that he needs exactly that as an out, where he need exact mana utilization to try and even have a chance. And while Pyromancer is just the icing on top here for Maverick, as he's going to be able to sweep up this last hurrah from Sidi.
And while it is an unfortunate way to see him go out, Sidi can hold his head very high at the end of this run. He has done himself proud, done his countrymen proud, and I'm sure they'll still be very supportive of him despite the fact that he was unable to get through to the semi-finals. But the man of the hour now, Maverick, with a honestly very impressive comeback there, that series. I was thinking, against the onslaught of all those aggressive decks, surely one of those times he has to draw, Sidi has to draw strong enough to be able to come back. But Maverick, with some very patient gameplay, extremely disciplined in his approach, just gave a clinical performance with his lineup.
Yeah, I think the rogue game in particular was the one that impressed me the most. Obviously, you know, 14-14 Edwin, you know, sure, right? You can point at that and say, well, anybody can win with that. But it's just how he went about it and what he used that Edwin for. There was a lot of baits in that game, right? Where prepping out a secret with the Shadow Jeweler Hanar, and you know exactly how he goes for that Edwin, trading 14 damage into 3/2s for 2 turns in a row, right? Like those are things that not every player is going to do, and I feel like those were crucial in his victory, given how Sidi's hand played out with the Arbor ups and being able to capitalize on having a wide board position. So even though he got some help with the 14-14 Edwin, just the way he got there was impressive to me.
I mean, I'm definitely one of those players who would